Time to bring the bass back.
Mix is the beat of our culture. Your music.
I thank God for the opportunity to make music and for that music to be on a platform and people to come out and love.
Your stories.
It's gold for the Philippines.
The next generation of creators, artists, and filmmakers.
We bring you the latest and greatest impacting people from our community.
Spotlighting inspiring content from Generation Mix.
It's just a true honor to be able to do this, especially with all the great Filipino talent here.
Discover fresh artists first from around the world. Uniquely Filipino.
Step back three. He has got that.
Mix is the beat of our culture.
Hey guys, it's Sam with 2M's and welcome to this MYXclusive interview. Hello to everybody who's tuning in live on all of our social media platforms. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day wherever you're calling us from or wherever you're joining us from today. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so excited to be here with all of you because we're going to be welcoming a very, very talented guest who has great energy. And I'm so excited to talk to him because recently he's been doing a lot of things and he actually released a 2-part EP, which is called Finding the Opposite of Loneliness. So I hope you guys are excited to talk about that. And everybody, please welcome to MYXclusive, Jesso. Woo!
We're alive! We're alive! I had no idea. Woo! How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much. You know, even though you're calling all the way from LA right now and I'm in the Philippines, I can feel your energy, you know, just radiating all the way from LA.
Yes,
So
I'm
thanks
trying
for
to
joining
send
us.
you all the sunshine and the LA good vibes right now.
It's actually working because there's a lot of sunshine today. So
Good.
I feel it. I feel
There's
it.
no sunshine where I am right now. It is very dark out as it is. What no, it's 7 o'clock here. 7 o'clock
Oh,
at night. Yes.
I'm calling from the future then because it's 10 a.m. on the next day for you.
Wow. This is the first time
Yeah.
I've ever done an interview with someone from the future.
Oh, wow. I mean, technology.
I'm very excited about this.
Technology. But thank you so much, Justin, once again for joining us here today. How have you been? How's your day today? It is 7 p.m. there. So how was your day today?
My day has been good. I've
Mhm.
taken it easy today. I'm going through a bunch of new songs. So
Mhm.
today I wrote a bunch of songs last week and I was going through them and making changes and making tweaks and doing little record like I can play. So this is what I've been doing. It's like we're just
Ooh.
doing all this fun stuff here. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's what I've been
Ooh,
doing.
I love that's taking it easy for you. You know, working on music, taking it easy
Take
for
it easy.
Justin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Low stress day.
I mean, yeah. Well, that's good. At least, you know, that is you have days where you get to take it easy. I can imagine like life has been very busy for you, especially in the past couple of weeks too, being on tour with Kygo too. So what was that like? And
Yeah.
being able to finally be on tour again.
So I'll tell you why it feels like taking it easy is because you're right. I've been on the road basically since, I left in end of May, right? So end of May I left. I did my headline tour in Europe in June. And then July, August, September was my solo dates, Kygo dates, and promo. And that was all in Europe, except for one trip to Mexico that we took.
Mhm.
And I just got back what feels like yesterday. But I've been back in LA for about 2-ish weeks. So it was amazing being on tour and getting to perform the songs off Finding the Opposite of Loneliness. And of course, being on tour with Kygo is always fun. We just played Madison Square Garden last week, which was
Mhm.
nuts. I've there's a special place in my heart for Madison Square because that's where I saw some of my first concerts. I went to New York with my parents when I was probably 10 years old and saw some of my first concerts there. So that was really emotional and exciting to be playing at Madison Square Garden. And we have really cool drone footage of it, which I post on Instagram, which I think is so cool. But that's why it feels relaxed to be home, even though I'm working and working on music. It's not as hectic as being on the road and being in a new city every day and having to do promo in the morning and then running to a sound check in the afternoon and then doing a show at night. And then, it's a different schedule.
Yeah, and I was actually looking through your Instagram feed, and that's exactly what I saw. You were on tour, like everywhere. You're on stage, so many people. But there was one photo that really stood out to me. It was your photo with George Clooney, and I was like,
Yeah.
"What is this? Like, this is so cool!" Like, it was all like stage, stage, stage. You and George Clooney, and then stage, stage,
Yeah.
stage, which I thought was so cool. So you've been obviously living your life in the past couple of months. So that's
Yeah.
amazing.
George is my best friend, clearly. Yeah. He's my best
Obviously.
friend. So I went to a friend's party, and they had a bunch of surprises for it was a very small group of people. It was like 38 people, and they had a bunch of surprises planned for us, and one of them was Seinfeld came and did an hour and a half set of new material, which was mind-blowing because you're like holy crap, it's
Stop.
Seinfeld. I know, nuts. And then this crazy mentalist named Lior Suchard, who blew all of our minds by reading our minds, which was nuts. And then the next day they had George Clooney just walked in and gave an hour and a half chat about his life and his career. And I got to talk to him after and take a picture with him and ask him advice. And so now we're best friends.
That is the most amazing party I have never been to. I mean, I feel like I'm living vicariously through you. That's amazing just to hear
It was
about
fun.
that. And yeah, like see, like that was that's what I was saying. Like looking through your Instagram, it like looks amazing that you're able to, live your life, especially everything we've been through in the last 2 years since 2020, and finally being able to go out there and share
Yeah.
your music with everybody. I think is such an amazing thing, and we're so excited that you're geared up and energized to share a lot of music and performances with everybody. So,
Yeah.
life, you guys, is a beautiful thing. Yeah, and we're so excited too because you're able to release a two-part EP called Finding the Opposite of Loneliness. A very, very intriguing title that a lot of people, I think, have felt at least once in their life. We need to find the
Yeah.
opposite of loneliness. So can you tell us more about how this EP actually, started? Like, what was the idea behind it and what led to you creating this EP?
Sure. So the idea behind Finding the Opposite of Loneliness comes from my latest single, called Miracle. One of my favorite lyrics in the entire body of work is I've been trying to find the opposite of loneliness. There ain't a word for it. Because there is no word for the opposite of loneliness. It's not togetherness, it's not happiness, it's there is actually no word in English for it. I was telling this to somebody the other day in another country, and I think it was the Swedes, and someone in Sweden was like, "Well, there is a word for it in Swedish. It's." I was like, "Holy! I've got to change the title now to." But no, so there is no word for the opposite of loneliness, and depression has been something that I've dealt with for many years. I started as a high schooler, and then in college it really reared its head for me, and dealing with that has been a constant throughout my life. And so when I was trying to figure out what to say and how to say it, I found myself writing songs in two buckets, right? One of them was songs where I was searching for the opposite of loneliness, but not finding it. Songs like Lose Ya, which is dealing with loss and anxiety over that loss, and at times the anxiety of not knowing who you are. And If You're Meant to Come Back, which is about, trying to put your trust in the idea that what's meant to be will be, and if something is meant to come back to you, then it will, and the universe has a plan. And songs like Lifeline, which is all about depression and anxiety, and this idea that you feel like you're drowning and you just need a lifeline. And then on the flip side of that, I found myself writing songs about situations where I was on the path to finding the opposite of loneliness or had found it. So Bigger Than is one of my favorite songs off the EP, and it's about facing your fears and doing the right thing, and living the life that you want, and the steps and the tools that it takes to find the opposite of loneliness. Bigger Than is the first one where you go, okay, I'm on that path and here are the steps. And then Miracle is a song where I found it, or I found the opposite of loneliness. It's about finding that person that you want to spend the rest of your life with, or that relationship that gives you that feeling of the opposite of loneliness. And so as I continued to write these songs, I found I was constantly dealing with depression as I was writing it, and found myself writing in two buckets. Ones where I was depressed, and other ones where I was finding my way either through those feelings and that depression, or I'd found my way through those feelings and was on the other side and had found my happiness, my contentment, my coping mechanisms, so to speak. And I felt like I wanted to share that because I wanted to take listeners on that journey. And I feel like there's something in here for it. It's 9 songs. Yeah, it's 9 songs. And there's something in here for everyone through every stage of the loneliness that they may be experiencing, or the depression that they may be experiencing, or, you know, the life stage that they're in at this time. And one of the greatest things that has happened to me through this experience of releasing this music is the feedback that I've gotten from people who write me messages about how the music has affected them. Has been, it's the reason I do it, you know. It's, and I actually I save all the messages. I have a full, oh, now I'm just looking at you, see, there you go.
I love that.
Right, there you are. I save all the messages in this folder. I should have had this pulled up, called Inspired Through Music. And here you can see, like, these are all the messages that people have written me about how my music has inspired them. Here's someone who sends me, this says, I've been self-harm free for 1 month, 7 days, 23 hours, 39 minutes, and 52 seconds. This is the, I won't show you who it's from, but this is the accompanying. Justin, I just wanted to say thank you again for everything. You're the reason I'm still breathing and alive. You bring me out of my dark past day after day. You are also the, no more hurting myself. Thank you for everything you've done. I love you very much. And just getting a message like that, knowing that that person is listening to this music and it's getting them through, is incredible. I can read you some if you want.
Oh, I can imagine. That's a lot though. Like a lot of them, like
they're really heavy. Like
they're
I can, you want to read one?
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, I'll read you one. Okay. So this is from a mother whose son is 10 years old and has a learning disability.
Okay.
She says, what I didn't say before, because it's almost unbearable to write, is that Pete is the son, hadn't been able to tell me he loved me in all his 10 years, even though he's a very verbal kid. Just understanding and verbally expressing his own emotions is really hard for him. I'd accepted the fact that him saying, I love you to me was just something he wasn't able to do. And I'd come to peace with it because I could feel his love and he shows it in other ways. Until a few months ago when 400 Trillion came out. That's one of the songs off the EP. After we figured out 400 Trillion helped his anxiety, it became his go-to song. He loves numbers, so I think he was drawn in by the title and cover and just really connected with the music and the lyrics from there. A few months ago, we were listening, and he asked me what I thought the song was about. I told him that someone figured out there's a 1 in 400 trillion chance that we are born the unique individual that we are. And because that chance is so tiny, it is really special that we are exactly who we are, and we should celebrate that dancing on the rooftops. This is a message I've tried to talk to him about since his diagnosis of autism at age 2. He doesn't yet know that he's autistic, and I want him to understand himself first and really understand that everyone is a unique individual, and that's a good thing, before I explain to him that there's a name for how his brain is wired differently and why he may feel he has challenges more than the other kids. He thus far has not internalized this difference or hasn't said anything about it, but this message is really crucial for a neurodivergent kid to understand. Well, after I explained my interpretation of 400 trillion, he looked up at me and just said, I love you, Mommy. I was absolutely floored. Tears were streaming down my face as I write this now because he tells me he loves me all the time, and I will never take it for granted because I waited a whole decade to hear that. Justin, I really can't thank you enough for that. And thank you for providing a way for me to start to explain to my son his neurodiversity within the context of a song with which he deeply connects.
Oh no, I want to cry. It's, oh my God, it's like 10 in the morning and I want to cry. Oh no.
I cry every time I hear, I mean, I have so many messages like that. I have ones that are heavier than that. I have
Yeah, of
ones
course.
that are, I mean, it's just, that's why I do what I do, is because I
Yeah.
get to connect with people like that and get messages like that.
What a beautiful thing. Oh my God, I have goosebumps. But that only goes to show, like, your own experience, like, no matter how unique it is to you,
Yeah.
somewhere, somehow, someone out there can definitely relate to it. And
Yeah.
that definitely is, a testament to how the music is bigger than, see what I did there, bigger than what you
Nice.
intended it to be. Because so many
Yeah.
people around the world are able to use the music in many ways in their own life that are, maybe we don't even know about, but the way that they're able to react and tell you these things, I think is such a beautiful thing. So we want to thank you, obviously, Justin, for the music and putting yourself out there too. Like, I feel like you also deserve a lot of credit for going through all of those emotions, the depression and all of those things and translating into the music and being able to share it with all of us, I think is such an amazing thing. And we want to thank you for that. I
Well,
think that's a beautiful
thank
thing.
you for putting it out there. I mean, I appreciate, this doesn't work if we don't have people like you who are A, listening, and B, amplifying, So that's why, I mean, there's so much music today, and so many people have so much to say. You know what I mean? And you providing a platform and a mouthpiece for that is really, makes me really grateful. So thank you so much.
Of course, we're all here to support one another. I think that's what makes the world very beautiful. But music is definitely one of those things that makes life even better. And we have Justin's music, of course, to listen to while we're going through a lot of things in our life. And I'm sure you learned a lot too about yourself throughout this whole like experience. Of course, you learned a lot about loneliness and what that is and how to deal with it, but also about yourself. I'm sure you learned
Yeah.
so many new things. So, what was like
Yeah.
the biggest thing you learned about yourself while creating the music for this
Oh my
season?
gosh, no one's ever asked me that before. What's the biggest thing? Well, I'll tell you something that I didn't expect was I learned what my biggest fears were. In writing Bigger Than, specifically, I actually wrote the song starting with the first lyric, I don't want to end up in a hospital room holding nobody's hand, which is essentially the fear of not wanting to die alone. But when I was shooting the music video, I had to write on these balloons what my biggest fears were and then pop them. And, I started off small. I made a list. It was like spiders and this and that. And I had one big balloon at the end left. And it was the biggest one. And I just didn't want to tackle like, what is my biggest fear? And at the time I realized that it was my dad's cancer coming back. It was the idea of losing a parent. That was my biggest fear at that time. And then he luckily beat it twice. Then my mom got diagnosed with it. And that's still probably one of the scariest things in my life is losing the people I love around me. So that's probably something that I don't know. I didn't know or deal with until I wrote that song and shot that video for it. But I think I also realized that so there's a couple things that happen. I've learned how to deal with my depression better, right? So the path forward for me is I have to acknowledge that I'm depressed. I have to go, okay, I'm not feeling good today, right? And then I have to acknowledge that that's okay. Because what would happen before is I'd go, I'm depressed. This is awful. I feel worse now that I'm depressed because I shouldn't be depressed because I should be so grateful for all of the things that I have. But going through that list of why I'm so grateful never actually made me feel any better. It just made me more depressed because it made me think I shouldn't be depressed, and yet I am, and therefore I am more upset with myself. And so it was the acknowledgement of being depressed and then the permission to feel that way, which actually helps me get through it. So that's something that, like, if you're dealing with depression or you have anxiety or you're dealing with anything, or if anybody's listening is dealing with anything, it's okay. It's okay to feel the way that you're feeling, and to have anybody tell you differently is, at least for me, was really detrimental. So for anybody who's not feeling themselves or their best, it is okay to feel the way that you're feeling.
Yes, that's so true. One of the worst things ever is having your feelings
invalidated. You know what I mean? Like when people do that, I think it's not a
Yeah.
vibe, definitely. But thankfully, we
Yeah.
have people like Justin through the music we can definitely relate to, and you can realize, everybody can realize that you're not alone in this. A lot of people do also feel certain ways about certain things in life too. So make sure to listen, of course, to Justin's music too. The EP is so beautiful, very, very meaningful. It's called Finding the Opposite of Loneliness. So make sure to check it out. It's everywhere. But since we do love you here in the Philippines, and we can't wait to have you when the time is right. Yes, exactly.
Please.
We can't wait for it. Do you have a message to all of your Filipino fans who are eagerly waiting for you to come back and can't wait?
Come see me when I come. We don't have anything planned yet. I'm hoping to get there at some point in 2023. And just thank you for listening to my music, and thank you, Sam, for playing my music. And I'm excited to be back at some point and do some shows and play some tunes and hear some stories.
Yes, definitely. It's going to happen. We're going to manifest it. But till then, we're going to listen to all of your music online for now. So everybody tuning in, remember to stream Finding the Opposite of Loneliness by Justin Jesso. It's available on your favorite digital streaming platforms. But thank you so much, Justin, for hanging out with me. It was great to be here with you. We're so excited that you're able to join us here today. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. And hopefully I'll see you in person soon.
Yes, definitely. And we want to say thank you as well to everybody who tuned into this MYXclusive interview. Once again, this has been Sam with 2Ms and Justin Jesso. Thank you, everybody.